Good morning. Hello from the beautiful Snowbird Resort in Utah. It is May 30th, 2025. Welcome to the PoliticAL update. I am here attending a conference talking about building long-term power in the states, including some really red states, and how we find a map to progressive power in some of those places. So a shout out to all of the state donor tables doing incredibly important and hard work. The donor table directors are often my first phone call to find out what's happening in a state, and I just appreciate all of them and their whole team for everything that they do. I also want to note that we've had some amazing speakers from Utah talk about some of the wins that they've had at the local and state level, including Jakey Salas-Cioto, a self-described Hmong queer organizer from Utah, who said, quote, "Hope isn't something I wait for. Hope is something I create." He ran for the House of Representatives, and you can follow him on social media at Vote Jakey, and it's really inspiring. Also got some additional data from both Catalyst and Terrence Woodbury with HIT Strategies. There has been only a 1% change over the last four cycles among white voters. So all of this money that we spend trying to convince white voters to vote the way we want is maybe not doing its job. And we need to do actual organizing in communities of color, low income communities, with marginalized people, and talk about our values. It's not rocket science, it's political science, as my mentor, Paul Rivera, used to say. Um, Terrence also said, and I loved this, policy is not a message. Our narrative has to include a vision and the problem that we're trying to solve, and that we understand the impact on people's daily lives. So, just some great takeaways. So states are where it's at. Join your donor table if you're able to. And if you are from a blue place, but maybe you have roots in a red state, consider joining that donor table. Okay, going to some updates in New Mexico. I'm going to butcher this last name. Ken Miyagashima announced that he is also running in the Democratic primary. Um, where Sam Bregman and Deb Holland are already running. I think this will probably help Deb having another guy in the race. He is from Las Cruces, which is a crucial part of the state, not only in the primary, but for the general election as well. So we'll see how all of these politics play themselves out. A poll came out in Michigan that showed Haley Stevens with a lead for Senate in the primary, and a narrow lead over likely Republican nominee Mike Rogers. Jocelyn Benson has a very strong lead in the primary with 60% support. And independent Mike Duggan, I always pronounce his name wrong, is currently polling at 20% and kind of polling evenly from both Democrats and Republicans. So we'll see if that continues. A poll came out in New York. It's kind of a bullshit poll. It's only of New York City voters. They supposedly oversampled Jewish voters. Not exactly sure how you do that. That showed Governor Kathy Hochul in a very tight primary race against hypothetical candidate Congressman Richie Torres. More of a lead against Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado. She is from upstate, would obviously do better upstate. And as someone who is from just north of New York City is not all of New York. It also shows a very close general election matchup between Hochul and Elise Stefanik. So we cannot sleep on New York or on New Jersey this year. And then in Texas, another poll came out showing that Attorney General Ken Paxton continues to lead incumbent John Cornyn. Colin Allred, Beto O'Rourke, and Joaquin Castro were all within the margin of error against Paxton. So that is very promising. Texas continues to break our hearts. But if Paxton is the Republican nominee, I think we have a really good shot there. In South Carolina, Dr. Annie Andrews announced for the Senate against Lindsey Graham, chief capitulator, Lindsey Graham. She ran against Nancy Mace last year in a very hard district. She has been a pediatrician and advocate for children through nonprofit work. She has a really compelling story. It is obviously a huge uphill battle, but we'll see if that becomes competitive. And waves start with a ripple. we need to start somewhere. We have to help shape our political environment. We can't just respond to it. So I hope everyone will get out there and make a plan for No King's Day on June 14th, which is a Flag Day protest against the ridiculous military parade that Donald Trump is throwing for his birthday. So you can go to nokings.org and find a protest near you. That's all for this week. Thank you.